What's up, everyone? So I was watching First Take on ESPN this morning, and Stephen A. Smith, along with the entire panel, had this absolutely electrifying segment breaking down the Golden State Warriors' season-opening victory. And honestly, they think this changes everything for how we should view this team going forward. Stephen A. himself, maybe more than any other analyst covering the Warriors, was very optimistic that this team was going to be legitimately very good for this season. But he admitted on the show that he didn't even expect them to look this dominant right out of the gate. Stephen A. knows what everyone watching is thinking. Yes, we're only one game into the regular season, and it was just a 10-point victory over the Los Angeles Lakers. But the panel emphasized there were some very specific things they observed on the floor last night that have a legitimate chance to be major positives for this Warriors team throughout the entire season. The crew wanted to hop right into some deeper breakdown of last night's game beyond just the final score. Okay, hold up. Before we get into this absolutely wild Warriors news, I need 2 seconds of your time for something crucial. If you're watching this right now, you're part of this community, and I need you to do one quick thing that helps everyone here. Drop a like on this video. I know you hear this all the time, but I'm being dead serious. Those likes are what separate a video that reaches 500 people versus 5,000 people. More likes means more Warriors fans get the info they need, means this channel grows, means we can keep doing this. So if you care about keeping this going, just hit that like button right now. Takes literally one tap. Like they said, it was a 10-point victory over the Lakers, with Luka Doncic putting up 43 points for LA in the loss. But for the Warriors, Steph Curry, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, the 4 best players and 4 most important X factors on this roster, all handled their business for Golden State last night. Before the panel got into everything from last night's performance and looking ahead to future games, including the home opener against the Nuggets, they wanted to start with some remarkable historical context. Steph Curry became the oldest guard in NBA history to score 20-plus points in a season opener. This stat was kind of shocking to Stephen A. when he first saw it, because obviously it's specifically for guards. LeBron James and other players have probably scored more at an older age from different positions. As far as guards go, Steph is now the oldest ever to hit that 20-point threshold on opening night. Steph was fantastic in the game, but the most important thing about his performance, according to the First Take analysis, wasn't the counting stats. It was that Curry didn't really have to do all that much to impact winning. Steph only ended up hitting 3 three-pointers and played pretty solidly overall, but there were numerous stretches where he sat on the bench pretty consistently throughout that entire second half because the Warriors' second unit was playing so exceptionally well. The panel thinks that dynamic is going to be absolutely massive for this upcoming season because Curry is getting older, and these veteran players are going to have restful games where the team plays well enough that they don't even need their stars to play major minutes down the stretch. That's exactly what last night represented. The Lakers ultimately made a little bit of a run to cut into the lead, so Steph came back into the game and ended up hitting a dagger three-pointer to seal it. The Warriors won the game, Curry did the night-night celebration, and it was time to tuck the Lakers in and send them to bed. It was vintage Curry in the biggest moment, but Stephen A. emphasized this changes everything for Golden State's championship outlook. Because if they can find a way to be so consistently dominant that Steph only has to play mid-20s to low-30s minutes of basketball per night, this team is going to be absolutely fantastic. More importantly, they're also going to be healthy and fresh heading into the postseason, which is when it actually mattered. The panel wanted to talk about Draymond Green because his impact isn't a fluke or some anomaly. People always question why analysts say Draymond is such a great defender when it doesn't even show up in the box score that dramatically. Well, the First Take crew had the advanced numbers ready. Not only does Draymond get steals and blocks that do show up in the box score, he impacts the game on a level that no other 6'7" forward big hybrid has ever done in league history. Players guarded by Draymond Green last night shot 28% from the field and 0% from three-point range. This is just what Draymond does consistently. Stephen A. doesn't understand why people continue to have this absolute lack of appreciation and respect for who Draymond Green has been and continues to be as a basketball player. Draymond's game isn't flashy in a traditional sense. He's not throwing down windmill dunks or shooting step-back threes, but he impacts winning for this Warriors team maybe more than anybody else when he's playing at a high level. Last night, Draymond facilitated on the offensive end fantastically with his playmaking, and on the defensive side of the ball, he locked down every single Lakers player that tried to attack him. The show did a fun aside about how the NBA announced they're bringing back the Larry O'Brien Trophy Center Court logo for the NBA Finals this season. The panel thinks this is huge as fans of the sport and the league. It's so nostalgic and honestly just a no-brainer decision. It's the finals. You want it to feel different and special. Last season, the finals games between teams looked identical to regular season games, with nothing to differentiate that these were championship-level stakes. Stephen A. loves the fact they're bringing the Larry O'Brien Trophy back for the center court logo for the NBA Final, and he said that's going to be an aura-filled series when the Warriors ultimately end up in the finals this season. He's already predicting it. The best take the panel saw from social media last night came from an NBA analyst on Twitter who wrote, "Being able to put Buddy Hield in his correct role, a bench gunner who you stick with when he gets hot, is a microcosm of how much better this roster is. Not overtasking players with outsized roles is one of the biggest signs of a good, great roster." The First Take crew thought this was absolutely true, and a fantastic observation. Looking at that specific example with Buddy Hield, he's a fantastic shooter, and one of the greatest pure shooters the basketball world has ever seen. When Hield gets hot, he's like nobody else in the league. He can snipe the ball and knock down threes in a way that very few NBA players can do or have done in NBA history. But that's pretty much what Buddy Hield is as a player. He's an okay defender at times, he can hit the mid-range occasionally, but he's not a great slasher or someone who creates off the dribble. Last season with the 76ers, Buddy Hield was forced to do a lot of things that were not his natural role or skill set. But now with Golden State, because they can play guys like Brandon Podziemski, because they can deploy Gary Payton II, and eventually DeAnthony Melton and Moses Moody when they return from injury, those guys are significantly better defenders. They do other things better on the floor than Buddy Hield does in terms of versatility. So the Warriors can use Buddy exclusively in the role he was born to play. A guy who, when he's hot, gets the ball and stays in the game knocking down shots from deep. When he's not playing well, they can sub him out and say, "Hey, Buddy, it's not your night," but that's perfectly okay, because other guys are impacting the game in different ways. The Warriors can find ways to win inside the paint instead of relying on outside shooting when Buddy's shot isn't falling. That roster construction detail is a massively important note for this team's championship aspirations this season, according to the panel. The Warriors had to overtask so many players last season, which led to inconsistent results. Trayce Jackson-Davis is a great rim runner and finisher, but not a great defender. He was forced to guard a lot of elite bigs toward the end of last year and really struggled. Now, Golden State has Kevon Looney and a fully healthy Draymond Green, so Jackson-Davis doesn't have to assume as much defensive responsibility. Gary Payton II is ideally a 15-20-minute per game player who comes in for short spurts, plays with maximum effort and intensity, slashes well to the rim, and plays solid, scrappy defense. He is not a three-point shooter and not a give-me-the-ball-and-go ISO type of offensive creator. There were moments last season where Gary Payton was forced to try to be that player. The panel appreciates that GP2 tried to improve in those areas and wanted to expand his game, but that's just not who he is as a player. With Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins, those guys can do everything. You can't really overtask superstars of that caliber, but these smaller role players have to fit into their designated roles perfectly for the team concept to work. Now that the Warriors have a roster that completely matches where these guys can thrive both on and off the floor, It's absolutely perfect construction. Stephen A. is so impressed with the roster that's been built by Steve Kerr, by Mike Dunleavy Jr. as GM, by ownership, and by the entire organization. They have positioned these players to win a championship this year, and so far, through one game, the Warriors are doing exactly that at an elite level. The panel wanted to address some comments Brandon Podziemski has made recently in the offseason and now into the beginning of the regular season. Podziemski has talked extensively about how he wants the keys to the franchise handed to him one day, and now he's saying he wants to be better than Steph Curry eventually. Stephen A. said, "Look, Pods, I hate to break it to you, but you're basically saying you want to have a top 5 NBA career in basketball history." But here's the thing the panel emphasized. They actually love the confident. Why have we, as a sports media culture, all of a sudden started shaming young players for having supreme confidence in themselves? Stephen A. remembers the days when young players had that fire and hunger to be a fantastic player, and everyone rewarded that mentality. Analysts would say they love that guy's drive and his ability to have an imagination for what his potential ceiling could be. But now the reaction has flipped. Everyone sees Podziemski's comments and immediately insults him, saying, "Pods, you're never going to reach that level. It's Steph Curry. Don't even try to compare yourself." But Podziemski isn't saying he wants to be better than Steph right now in 2025. Obviously, he wants to play his role effectively now and help the team win. But when Curry's career is done and Steph is out of the league, Brandon Podziemski wants to be able to maximize his own talent and get as much out of his career as possible. The First Take panel loves the fact that Golden State has a backup point guard who wants to be the best player he can possibly become, who wants to find every possible way to improve his game to reach his maximum potential. Why should anyone hate on that ambition? Stephen A. is certainly not criticizing that mentality. He's proud of Podziemski for continuing to put in the work. Pod's three-point shooting is steadily getting better, his mid-range game is improving, and he's still an evolving defender with room to grow. The panel is impressed with his development trajectory. They understand it's a little bit silly, maybe, to publicly say, "I want to be better than Steph Curry," because that is genuinely an otherworldly task to give yourself. But they love the fact that Podziemski has that internal drive to want to be better than an all-time great. The panel hopes that over the next decade plus of Podziemski's career, fans get to see at least a little glimpse of something in his game where people say, "Wow, Pods actually does that particular skill better than Steph Curry did." It's not going to be a lot of things, obviously, but maybe at some point he will excel in certain areas. The show also wanted to highlight the team chemistry and fun vibes around this Warriors roster. Andrew Wiggins revealed he has a bet going with Draymond Green that he'll have a better free throw percentage than Steph Curry this season. Wiggins admitted it's probably a bad bet, and he's absolutely right about that. Last night, Wiggins went a perfect 16 for 16 from the line, while Curry went 8 for 8. So they've matched each other perfectly so far, with both shooting 100% from the free throw stripe to start the season. The panel loves seeing fun competitive dynamics like this on a team that can use all the positive energy they can get. The First Take crew wanted to continue applauding Jonathan Kuminga's performance last night because his third quarter specifically was absolutely fantastic. It was very reminiscent of those classic third-quarter explosions from Warriors teams in the mid-2010s dynasty era. Kuminga had 13 points in the third quarter on 5 for 5 shooting, including 3 for 3 from three-point range. He added 3 rebounds, a steal, and 0 turnovers, while taking great care of the basketball. He was plus 12 in just 9 minutes of third-quarter action. Kuminga ended the full game with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. Just a fantastic, complete performance. Lastly, the panel wanted to applaud Kuminga one more time for something specific. Steph's dagger three-pointer at the end to seal the game was obviously huge, but Stephen A. emphasized that clutch shot was a direct result of the fact that Jonathan Kuminga did something he genuinely hasn't done consistently for his entire NBA career. He crashed the offensive glass and got a critical offensive rebound. In that crucial moment with the game on the line, a long, contested shot went up, hit back iron, and took a long rebound out toward the perimeter. Instead of Kuminga sitting in the corner, instead of camping under the hoop, instead of going for a flashy highlight dunk, he simply went up aggressively, rebounded the basketball, secured another possession for the team, found a way to get the ball to Steph, and Curry hit the dagger 3. That highlight play that everyone is going to see replayed on Twitter. And SportsCenter does not happen if Jonathan Kuminga doesn't commit to doing the little things he said he would commit to improving. He is absolutely doing exactly that, so far, to start this season. The First Take panel is having so much fun analyzing this Warriors team, and we're only one game into the season. This is going to be one absolutely incredible year to watch Golden State. So that was the full First Take breakdown of why the Warriors' opening night performance changes everything about how we should view their championship potential this season.